Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be sure I'm heard. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Give me a second. Apologies. Morning, everyone. I hope you are all well and had a very good holiday. Welcome to. Oh, again. Sorry, every time I open settings and close that, it takes my video and audio away. Welcome to CPN 321 for 2021. And yeah, before we start, I hope this is going to be a good semester for you. I hope you have a pleasant learning experience and that you learn something in the module. This would be the first time, well, start from the beginning. I'm Paul Sonnendecker, staff member in the Department of Chemical Engineering, obviously, which we are all in, hopefully. If you're not, then you're probably in the wrong lecture room. And we are joined by Cameron Bolt, Chanel, Nomfebu, Mozart, and the other TA is not here. So Nomfebu Mozart is a new lecturer in our department. She'll be assisting me with CPN this semester. It's probably going to be a somewhere in between 1/3 and 50% contribution from her side, depending on the time in the semester. But she'll be handling some of the lectures, some of the study themes perhaps. We still have to decide how exactly we want to do that. And then our teaching assistant, Cameron Bolt, doing his honors in control, and I assume masters as well, eventually. And Chanel doing his masters in water, whether it's wastewater treatment or something else, I'm not 100% sure. And then the third teaching assistant, definitely not here, it seems like. Tabang Mosaka, I think Mosaka, yeah. Also doing honors in water utilization. Right. To introduce myself, I started in the department. Well, I've never left the department since doing my undergraduate. I started working full-time in 2012 as a first instructor, assisting with our research. And then I got promoted to a researcher in 2017, and I'm now assisting with the lecturing. So I'm not a full-time lecturer. I'm in actual fact only a researcher and not supposed to assist with lecturing. Anyway, because staff complications, this is what I do now. Right, so I started my research in fluoropolymers. I've done some solar PV cell experimentation and optimization on that. If you were ever in the third year labs, you'll see the heat exchanger setup, which is my baby, which I started in 2010. I designed and built that plant, lab scale plant, and my expertise lie in actually basically just engineering problem solving and doing the physical stuff around processes. So if you have a problem, I am probably the guy that wants to solve it for you if it's a physical one, like piping systems and punch specs and things like that. The reason I am involved in process dynamics and process control, I am relatively good at programming, and I do have a passion for that. So I'm well versed in instrumentation specification and the operation of instrumentation, as well as some control valves and things like that. So I do have some experience in the field. Right. So I will most probably be the main lecturer for you in CPN and then also in CPB. And that is going to be enough from me for now. I want to introduce Ntebo so that she can introduce herself, so that you know who you are talking to, and at least can see a face behind the voice, since we will not use our video all of the time during lectures. Ntebo.
Morning, everyone. I'm not so sure if my video is showing.
Your mic is not working. Ntebo.
Hello?
You don't have audio.
Hello, Paul, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, it's
Okay. It's
seems to
working.
be working now.
It's when I switch on the video that you can't hear me for some strange reason. Okay, I guess I will continue. I'll try to switch it on again, the video. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
But the video doesn't seem to be on though.
It is on.
No, we can see you as well.
Okay, perfect. Then I'll continue. Morning, everybody. My name is Nomcebo. Please call me Nomcebo. Just like Paul has mentioned, I also studied chemical engineering, and I specialized in water utilization engineering. I've worked in industry, and I have a passion for academia. That's why I've come back, and I hope I will enjoy being with you in conducting some lectures in CPN. Over to you, Paul.
Yosha and Cameron, if you can also just introduce yourself quickly.
So I think Cameron go first, then I'll follow.
Okay, cool. Now guys, don't have video to show you right now, but you can check my LinkedIn profile if you want to see what I look like or something like that. But yeah, this is the second time that I'm TAing, so I'll be one of your TAs for CPN this semester, and most likely for next semester for CPB as well. As Paul said, I'm currently doing my honors in control engineering, and I am also planning to do my masters in control engineering. And my main focus at the moment is mainly around modeling and system identification, specifically for a coffee roasting system. So if you'd like to know a bit more about that, you can email me or Slack me. But yeah, hope you guys have fun this semester. CPN is a great module. And yeah, over to you, Joshua.
Yeah, sorry, my video is being a bit sketch as well. I tried there. You guys can also, you can stalk me on the internet if you want to know what I look like. I think I've got a profile picture as well. I will when I sign in properly anyway. So yeah, I'm doing my master's in water utilization engineering as well. Yeah, lots of fun there. We are focusing on plasma-based water treatment, so high energy, high voltage plasmas. Yeah, lots of fun. Along with Cameron, I've presented CPB, the follow-on module to this, as one of the TAs, I think twice now. So I think from me and Cameron's side, we'll very much, with what we do when we talk to you, it's normally from the viewpoint of, we know that this catches people the next year. So just follow along. This module is not particularly difficult at any particular point. Like, it's not super difficult at any one point that it's like impossible, but you need to kind of get the whole picture. Otherwise, next year becomes challenging. So yeah, guys, good luck for this year with all of the online learning. We'll see a lot of each other.
I see that Taban has joined us in the meantime. Taban, can you please introduce yourself just quickly so that at least the class knows who to speak to in times of need?
Hi, I'm Taba Musaka, and I'm an environmental engineering student. I'm doing my master's. I'm based at the South Campus, and this is my first time tutoring CPN, but I will be able to assist you and move you along the subject. So yeah, I'm busy with my master's doing plasma as well with Joshua. Yeah, and we're treating water. It's water treatment. So yeah, I'm excited to meet you guys.
Fantastic. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you.
Right, so getting back to the CPN part. First, I'm going to handle some administrative matters. And starting off with that, you will note that the ClickUp page is extremely lean at the moment. I decided not to copy any of the previous year's ClickUp pages because last year, obviously, CPN was presented by Ruben Swart, which is also a master student, due to some staff issues at that point in time. And then the previous year was obviously presented by Paul Sandrock, but that was a completely normal way of presenting the module, so contact classes. For that reason, I decided not to copy the page from 2019 or from 2020, and I will probably rebuild the entire thing to suit us for this semester. I believe that the common idea among the lecturers this semester would be if we don't start contact class within the next week or so, then we will most probably revert to online class for the remainder of the semester, due to the odd chance that a lot of the students will not be able to come back to Pretoria for contact classes, and therefore we will most probably remain as a Cameron, if you can mute your mic, please. We will remain online-based lecturing and touch sessions as well. So if there's one student that can't be in Pretoria for a contact class, then all of us will remain online. There is no study guide on ClickUp yet. That I will hopefully do within today. I'm still busy sorting out the schedule, and I don't want to publish the study guide unless I'm confident that the number of lectures per study team is correct. But that I will hopefully get done before the end of the day. I quickly want to share the screen. Just need to find the correct study guide because I've got a couple of them open at the moment. This is the correct one. The most important part would be the textbook that we will be using. We are going to use Seaborg. I'll share that content with you just now. The 4th edition, MEA edition. Scroll to that point and you see it now. There we go. So we'll be using this version of the text, which is 2017, 4th edition MEA. So the textbook name is Process Dynamics and Control. Seaborg, Edgar, and Milligan, as well as Boyle. If you have the 3rd edition, I might or might not upload a reference document because the 3rd printed edition is slightly different than that of the 4th edition. There's an additional chapter, chapter 3 in the 4th edition, which was not in the 3rd edition, which is printed. The PDF version is more or less the same in the 4th edition. In any case, so there's some discrepancy toward the chapter numbers. So please be aware of that if you use an old textbook or got an old textbook from one of the previous students a couple years ago or so. Right, so our contact details will be in the study guide. Only work telephone numbers will be provided. We will not provide your cell phone numbers. We are going to use Slack and only Slack for communication. Obviously email obviously as well, but preferably only stick to Slack because everyone is able to see the Slack channel. Let me show you how that looks. So we will be using this Slack general group where we can discuss issues pertaining to dynamics and control. So the Slack channel is the Dynamics and Control Slack channel, and you, I believe, can add yourself to this group. In any case, we'll chat about that a bit more tomorrow in the touch session, because that would be the first step, is to upload yourself a nice profile pic so that everyone can see how you look, what your position is, and what you are doing in this course. Right. So you'll be able to see our details in the study guide, and then obviously we have 4 lectures a week. We'll use all 4 lectures for lecturing, and then our touch session on Tuesday afternoons at 2:30. All lectures are at 9:30 in the morning. Only in very weird and wacky circumstances we will not be having our normal lecture where we might upload a video or something like that. But otherwise it will all be on ClickUp Collaborate or Blackboard Collaborate, and the lectures will be recorded and will be able to download the lectures. So practical sessions would be a mix of doing tough examples or tough exercises, as well as some Python programming language for CPN1 would be Python, and Josh and Cameron both are really good at that, so they will be assisting a lot with that, whereas Stefan will be assisting with the tough exercises and also the marking of class tests and so forth. I'm showing you this, but this is not necessarily concrete. That might be updated, but please take note of this. So far, obviously, you require 50% to pass the module, and also a sub-minimum of 40% in the examination. But there's an additional sub-minimum, and that is 40% for the project. The project will either be 25, project will most probably be 25% of the semester mark. So it does count a hefty portion of the semester mark. And if you don't obtain 40% for that, you will not be able to write the exam, so you won't be admitted to the exam. And I'm going to stress this a number of times during the semester. It is extremely important because the project is basically the practical portion behind this module. Especially since we don't have content class, there's very little opportunity for practical learning. Okay, so most probably the semester test will both count 30% and then class test and plus 15%. That might change. I'm still deciding on that, but it will be published later today or as late as tomorrow. Then finally, semester mark 60%, exam mark 40%. Please take note if you had CPD with me last semester, or if you heard from one of the students that had CPD last semester, it was a relatively easy module. I might not clear. Not sure why that would be. Let me know if that continues like that. I'll check if my connection is okay. Seems good. If you had contact with, let me just check if I can set my volume a bit.
Is this better now?
Much better.
Perfect. Sorry, it's every now and then my bloody ClickUp reverts to my webcam mic and not my headset. Right. So was there any portion that you did not hear? Any case, just check the rules of assessment. This might not be firm and fixed. When the study guide is published, you'll please just revert to that and make sure that you understand what the rules of assessment for this module will be. What I was about to say was, if you heard from CPB students from last semester that the module got a lot easier than the previous years, please take note that it was the first time I lectured and I did realize that I made it a little bit too easy. I will do my very best to ensure that I don't overcompensate and make CPN now extremely difficult, but it is going to be a lot more difficult than it would have been if it was the first time that I lectured. So just be aware of that. It's not going to be a walk in the park. I will most definitely Alex Lord sounds good, but no, I'm Paul. Please just call me by my name. I don't like the title Mr. or Sir, so just call me Paul. That is perfectly fine. We'll get to those sort of things just now. Yeah, so please just be aware that the module won't be a walk in the park and you will have to put in your hours to be able to pass it. But you'll probably get the hang of it in the next couple of weeks at least. For the time being, you can, well, no, not for the time being, you can assume or take it as that we will have a submission or class test on every touch session. I am pondering the idea of having quizzes before every class. So the way that you should handle this module is you will check the schedule. You see that we are handling chapter 2.1 in the upcoming lecture. And before that lecture, I expect you to read through that section and not be completely unfamiliar with that section before the class starts. To kind of force you to do so, I would like to introduce quizzes that you can do or should do before the class starts, and that might count towards the class test mark. That all depends on the availability of my time or mine and Nomsembu. Sorry, I'm butchering that C in your name. But yeah, that's dependent on the availability of time. In terms of absences and sickness, I assume you all understand and know by now how you go about doing that. 3 days after a test or exam, you must submit your sick letter. And in the case of exam, that should be submitted to student administration and not to myself. For every semester test, there will be a ClickUp column or ClickUp assignment for you to do so. This goes the same for load shedding, which will probably torture us during the semester, as well as unforeseen family responsibilities. I do understand that this is a sensitive matter, and I do not agree with the 3 days kind of thing in that sense. But should you have any severe or dire problem, please let me know ahead of time in a test or so forth. I am human and I will treat you the same. Semester test, 90 minutes. Examinations, 3 hours. All will be on ClickUp. Most probably. Because except if UP changes its idea of the coming semester soon. Grievance procedures. If you have any problem with the module or content or anything like that, or any problem, you come to me, you go to Nomsebu. If we can sort out your problem, you can consult your class representative who can, or if you don't want to talk to us directly, you want to be anonymous, you can contact your class representative also. You will see that Slack has an anonymous bot, which you can haunt me with if you want. If you have any grievances, you can post it there. If neither of us can solve your problem, obviously we don't have a module coordinator. Well, I'm the module coordinator in this case. If I can solve your problem, you consult the head of department, and only after that you consult the dean of faculty. So you will really annoy me if after a semester test you feel that something was unfair or you had some issue, and you email a petition or something to the dean the following morning. That is not the proper way of doing things. You are breaking the system. So please do not do it like that. So if you don't like me, speak to one of the teaching assistants or your class rep or someone else and see if we can solve it like that. Then you don't have to talk to me directly or anything like that. So, but please follow this grievance procedure if you have any issues during the module. I'm not going to go through the study themes now. You can read through this when the study guide is published. We have several exit level outcomes or towards exit level outcomes in this module. Engineering design, application of scientific and engineering knowledge, method, skills, tools, specifically information technology. That's where the Python part comes in. And then independent learning ability. I'll get more on that a little later in the module, later today actually. Skipping over the study themes, we are going to handle a number of stuff. You'll get familiar with these during the course of the semester. Lastly, we'll have a project that will span most probably not from tomorrow's stat session, but only next week Tuesday, and will end slightly, well, a couple of weeks before the exam, where you will do some programming and so forth. Right. That is the study guide in a nutshell. I will post the textbook stuff shortly after the lecture on ClickUp as an announcement so that you know about that. I will also make the first stat session available, or the first class test, let's call it assignment, where you create your Slack profile and upload a profile pic. on that, I want to ask you to also please upload a profile pic onto ClickUp. I am sitting here talking to my PC screen, and I see some blank, faces, and I would very much like at least to see some of your faces and make it a little more personal when I'm talking to my PC screen. It is really uncomfortable and not fun to present class like this, but it is what it is, and it is what it's what we're going to do for the remainder of the semester most probably. So yeah, please do upload a profile pic, so that at least a little more personal. I think that's more or less all the administrative. No, not all. Right, so the Slack channel. And if you ever got to or get someone's cell phone number, please do not use those after hours or on weekends. If it's related to the project or a semester test and you neglected to ask the questions on the Friday afternoon before the Monday morning semester test that you had to ask, it's your problem. It's not our problem. Do not phone me on a Sunday afternoon. Do not phone any of the TAs on any evening or Sunday or Monday afternoon. You should know by now that we are professional people, and we need to act like that as well. So on the Slack channel, myself and the TAs will most definitely post messages or content or anything like that at obscure hours in the morning. It does not mean it's going to happen all the time. And if you send a message at 1 a.m., it's not necessarily that I'm going to answer that. It might happen, but it might not happen. So don't expect it. You can expect an answer to that during normal office hours, which roughly 8 to 5. Anything after that is a by chance scenario, and it will not occur each and every day or time. So please don't get used to that. Also, if you are on campus, please don't just arrive unexpectedly at any of our offices. It's by appointment only. And if you have an issue, you can always email me or send me a direct message on Slack to arrange for an appointment. Related to direct messages on Slack, please refrain from doing so. The reason for that being, it happens a lot that people ask the same questions, and then if you send me a direct message and answer that in a direct message, then I get several messages like that, and I have to answer each and every one of them. Please use the hashtag general group or channel or the relevant channel, whether it be semester test or project. You'll see when you join the Slack group that those are already preset, and you can ask questions there, and we can answer it so that everyone can benefit from your question. I do want to encourage you to use the Slack channel to to answer other students' questions if you feel you are comfortable in doing so, and if you don't feel you are comfortable in doing so, if you think you have the correct answer, answer it. It's a lot more, you learn a lot more when trying to answer someone's question than you do by just thinking, oh yeah, I know the answer, it's like this. If you answer it, formulate that answer and type it up, then you'll realize whether you really understand it or not. So I do want to encourage you, if you see a question from one of your fellow students and you believe you can answer it, please do so. If you're wrong, no one's going to laugh at you. No one's going to tell you that, or be nasty with you. We are going to respectfully just indicate that some portion of your answer might not be completely correct or might be incorrect, and then provide the correct answer. So please, please do make use of the Slack channel to answer your fellow students' questions. Right, so we've got about 15 minutes left, and I think I covered everything that I needed to cover. The last thing that I will be covering is the reason why we are doing dynamics. So a lot of you might think that we are doing dynamics in preparation for process control, which is correct, that is true, but it is not the only reason why you are doing dynamics. So, yes, you'll see the Slack channel stuff on as an assignment on ClickUp short. So I'll get to that shortly after the lecture. In any case, so dynamics is obviously, so the word dynamics meaning something that is time dependent, something that changes over time, which is different to what we are used to in pretty much everything you do in undergrad, which is usually steady state. And steady state, we know, stays constant with time. But the course process dynamics revolves around the change after some form of a change or upset occurred. And that might happen quickly, it might happen very, very slowly. If you imagine flow through a pipe, so let's say we have a 3-inch pipe and there's 1 meter per second flow through that pipe. We measure flow rate, and then 10 meters down the line we control that flow rate. You have 10 seconds before the fluid that passed the measuring element reaches the final control element, which is not a hell of a lot of time, so that happens quite quickly. But if you have a 20 cubic meter tank and you need to heat that up from 30 degrees to 40 degrees because of a set point change or something like that, it's going to take a relatively long time for that tank to change from 30 degrees to 40 degrees. And you might actually take, hours to days to reach the new steady state. And that transient period is what we are investigating in process dynamics. Now, obviously, yes, it's most definitely important for process control because you need to know how fast something happens in order for you to take action and to mitigate any disturbances and or set point changes in that process. However, it's not only for process control. It is extremely important for you as an engineer to understand how a process responds, to be able to make a decision on whatever happens, not necessarily only process control. If you want to do research, you need to know, how long do I need to leave my experiment before I can take steady state readings? Because if you're unsure how long it's responding, what the actual dynamics of that system is, then you won't be able to make an educated decision on when do I expect to have steady state. What other impacts might there be? So let's say there are some disturbances toward that process which you're not really controlling or anything, you just want to have it at steady state. You need to understand, what type of disturbance plays a role into that and how long does it respond to that. So we'll be deriving the equations, your mass balances, energy balances, component balance, so that we can eventually derive the process dynamics. And then we are going to learn about some useful tools. We call those tools Laplace transformation. When I did this module back in hell knows when, I absolutely despised that because I didn't really understand what the Laplace domain is. It was another one of these abstract things that the math people taught us, and I never really got the hold of that. But the moment I figured out, what it is used for, you realize that that tool is extremely important and extremely helpful in making life easier for you. And if you don't know that yet, that is the main focus of or main purpose of an engineer. Obviously, we are there to solve problems. That is, in my opinion, kind of let's call it my definition of an engineer. Is a problem solver, but you want to do that as quickly and as effortlessly as possible. And that's why we'll be learning these tools to make it easier and quicker for us to solve these issues. And with anything that you simplify, obviously we will have to know what the implications of that is. So we will do some linearization of nonlinear equations, and we'll need to know what's the effect of that. So we are linearizing something, we're making it simplified or easier to apply some mathematical tools to that. But in doing so, we are taking some accuracy away, and we need to understand what's the effect that will have on our current situation that we have simplified now. Then later on in the course, so obviously we'll do some known systems, stuff like a tank filling up and emptying, heating systems, things like that, so that you can see and understand what is an integrating process, what's a first order type of process, what is dead time, and what would a second order process look like, and how would that respond to changes or upsets. Then right at the end of the module, we'll be discussing frequency domain analysis. So frequency domain is something typically we would, in the time domain, which is our normal time system, we would input a sort of a step change. Unfortunately, I don't have my tablet with me today, so I can't draw anything on the whiteboard. Let me see if I can use this really stupid ClickUp whiteboard. Right, so there's something like the T domain, which is, okay, I'm not going to write. But in any case, if we make a change to a process in a time domain, we kind of step it like that, or we do a ramp that looks like that, or an impulse with that time being as close to 0 as possible, and you get some form of a response from that system. This not being a real good looking response, but in any case, it's something like that. However, there are other domains, and the one you'll be introduced to first is the frequency domain, where your input to the system is not something like this, but rather something that looks like that, which is a sinusoidal input. And these are actually occurring, well, they do occur relatively frequently in industry, and they actually have severe effects if you don't know that you are dealing with a sinusoidal input to your system. So we'll be handling that in frequency domain and continuing with the control of frequency domain problems in process control in next semester. So you'll hear me quite a lot talking about, as Josh mentioned as well, about how we are trying to prepare you for process control. But please do take note, as I mentioned earlier, that is not only for process control, that you also need to understand these things for normal day-to-day process engineering or research work that you might find yourself in a couple of years. And then finally, the last study theme that you will be working with is the sample system, so just discrete stuff. What discrete means, where we are typically used to graphs and stuff that look like this. There are data points for each and every x value or time value at the bottom, whereas a discrete system would have a point there, a point there, a point there, a point there, let's say one there, with some time that elapses before you can reach your second data point. And you'll be very familiar with this sort of analysis at the end of this semester, as well as after process control next semester in 2022. And last but not least, I very much like to revert or refer to what you are going to do and what is required of you in your design project in your final year as well. This is not the end goal, as is the case for CPB. It's not the end goal to know exactly what's going on in CPB. You also need to know it for other reasons, but it is very important to know these sort of things in order for you to successfully complete your process design that you will be doing in your final year. Right, I think that is more or less everything that I needed or should have said. If there's anything else from any of the TAs or Nomsebu, if you have anything else you want to add, please let me know. Otherwise, if any of you have questions, please feel free to ask now. I'll quickly check if I've missed something in the chat. Any questions? Yes, we'll be having touch session tomorrow. Since some of you might not be able to get your hands on a textbook copy between today and tomorrow, I will upload the content that we'll be handling for probably the remainder of this week on ClickUp. That will, however, be removed, and I will not do so for next week. So please do make sure that you get a copy of the textbook as quickly as possible. It is illegal for me to upload a lot of the content from the textbook because it's obviously copyrighted. So I can only do so for a limited period of time. Some of you might think that it is okay to skip the lectures there. So I do want to keep track of attendance. You will not be punished for not attending lectures. I do understand that some of you might use night owl data and stuff like that to download the lectures. I do understand that. I do know about that. So if you are not attending the lectures, you will not be discriminated against, but please do try and attend the lectures. It's becomes a lot more work to answer questions that were sort of answered in lectures that is difficult to follow if you weren't participating in that discussion session. So please do try and attend all the lectures if you can, related to class tests or assignments for submission. So if it's an assignment that is scheduled for submission on the TUT day, that will most probably be to be submitted roughly an hour or so after the TUT session ended. But class tests will be in the TUT session. If you're not there, it's 0 without a proper sick note or something. Right, that is it from my side. It's almost 20 past. Tomorrow we'll be starting with section 2.1. The lecture will be well, the settings will be changed or whatever shortly, and you will see what we are going to discuss then. And I will see all of you tomorrow morning at 9:30. Hope you have a good day further, and I hope you enjoy the semester and learn something.